All right, how are you, everyone out there? Thank you for attending this podcast. My name is SeeWing Yee from the Yee Real Estate Network. I own a real estate investment club here in San Francisco Bay Area for the past 15 years. And my business model is that I help out-of-state investors anywhere in the country, really, mom and pop investors to buy cash flow properties in the best cash flow markets in the country, and I can help them buy multiple properties using turnkey method, using property management, all one-stop shop, one one under one umbrella. So anyway, and hopefully you guys are gonna receive a lot of value out there. So on this particular presentation, I have invited my good friend and a business partner for over the years. His name is Glenn Plantone from Las Vegas. Glenn and I have gone back over the years. We have done business together off and on in the past 15 years. And the reason why I invite again, we could talk about what's going on right there in the real estate world, especially around the alleged foreclosure crisis. And Glenn Plantone not only is one of the top real estate brokers in the Las Vegas market for many, many years now. His focus is he helped local buyers to buy homes in Las Vegas as a principal residence. He also helped investors from all over the country to buy investment properties, not only for the Las Vegas market, from time to time out of state market as well. He also does flipping, commercial flipping. We may or may not talk about that. We only have like 15 minutes remaining. So on this module, Glenn, I'm going to ask Glenn his perspective because I value his expertise over the years. He's such an amazing investor and a real estate consultant. So every time I consult with Glenn, he has such a great perspective because Glenn Plantone has gone through several real estate cycles. So he understands what the reality is out there, what are the misleading information out there associated with the real estate foreclosure crisis, if you will. So, okay, enough I'm talking. Glenn, welcome, thank you for your time. Go ahead and just give me your perspective. In fact, talk about your Las Vegas market, really. As a matter of fact, people think when the pandemic occurred last year, people think because like Las Vegas being a hospitality and entertainment market, people think the market will totally crash in Las Vegas. How wrong can everybody be? So start off by talking about your market. What's going on? Why is it so it's just a unique thing going on?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. In fact, I haven't met a person that thought that it would do really, really well. I don't think we thought it would crash because of the pandemic, but who knew that it would be as hot as it is? It reminds me of 2004, 5, 6, 7 when Vegas was on fire. It's the same thing all over again. It's a phenomenal market right now, very low inventory. Everybody's buying, but the fundamentals are different than they were, back in 2004 to 2007. The big difference is the interest rates are very, very low, number one. Number two, you don't have a lot of people upside down anymore. So because they're not upside down, even if foreclosures do start down the road and they keep postponing them, and I don't think we'll see them till at least 2022 at the beginning, at the soonest, I don't think you'll see that many foreclosures. A lot of people predict there'll be a ton of them. I don't think so, at least in Las Vegas. And the reason why is because the prices have gone up so much, everybody's got equity. Well, way back when the market crashed, everybody was upside down. But in this case, everybody's not upside down because over the last, from 2010, when we bottomed out, we've slowly climbed all the way up to 2020, where things had climbed slowly. Now 2021, it's starting to go quickly again. But even if it stops or even goes backward, you're still in a good position because you're going to have great equity. So it's a really, really dynamic market. In fact, just this last week, as you know, and maybe you didn't see it yet, but you'll get a commission check or a referral check for sending me somebody. So I appreciate that. SeeWing often sends me folks that are interested in Las Vegas. And when he does, we work with them. As you guys might know, that the commissions are paid by the sellers. So it really doesn't affect the buyer at all. And when a commission comes in to me, we share a little bit with SeeWing for sending people our way, but it's a really good way to go. We've done a lot of business over the years, whether it's folks coming to Las Vegas or other markets that I've been investing in. but I've primarily been in the Vegas market for the last several years. Right now it's hot. Although I do have a flip I'm doing down in Phoenix right now. That market has been hotter than Vegas. It's been the hottest market for, I think, 20 months in a row. And I'm doing a big flip down in Phoenix right now. In fact, I'm driving down tomorrow morning to check it out. But the market all over is really good. And we like it because the fact that the inventory is low, interest rates are low. In fact, I bought two myself just in the last 2 months, 3.5% interest, 30-year fixed, 20% down. Had to put a chunk down, but I bought about probably 50 to 60,000 in equity on the property. Then I had to put another 50 to 60 down. So I end up with 100,000 in equity in the property with probably a $400 to $500 positive cash flow with a 30-year fixed. So I'm buying just like anybody else if I can get a hold of it. So,
by the way, this property is located where? You just bought. You just talked about.
Oh, all in Las Vegas, good area. One was in Henderson, and the second one was in North Las Vegas, a newer area of North Las Vegas. The market is the one thing we didn't talk about yet is the rental market. The rental market's on fire also. So rents have gone up literally $200 to $400 over the last 4 to 5 years. They've gone way up. There's not a lot of inventory for rentals. There's not a lot of inventory for sales or for properties that people want to buy. So if somebody does come in and want to buy, we really have to be super, super aggressive. One advantage I have over a lot of people is that we manage about 300 properties in our property management division. So occasionally when somebody decides to sell, I've had actually 2 to 3 sales per month for the last year. So from a listing point of view as a broker, it's been very busy for me because I'm selling properties for investors that decide, hey, I've had this thing forever for 10 years. Let me sell. I've doubled, I've tripled my money. Let me sell and get out and take it and go somewhere else. Or they might be older. They want to retire and relax and take their money to do something else with. So we're getting a lot of that. But from the point of view of if a buyer wants to buy, we've got potential because I control those properties. So if I'm going to sell it, I'd rather sell it to somebody I'm working with than putting it on the market. I listed 2 properties yesterday, actually, and I'm expecting over the weekend. In fact, I should have turned my phone down because I've been getting calls all morning on the properties that I listed. And I've got 2 new listings. And last time I had a listing, I had like 25 offers on one property over about a 4-day period. And it's challenging because then you got to process those offers and you got to call everybody back and, decide what the best offer is. And it's very, very challenging in this market from that point of view. I'm not saying I'm not grateful for having the listings. It's great. And the commissions are nice because properties are triple what they were 10 years ago when I was selling nothing but foreclosure properties. But now it's a different story because the market's very, very strong.
Glenn, tell me, I thought the reason why my network has kind of moved away from the Las Vegas market because the cash flow is not as high as in the other market that I'm promoting, and I'm promoting Austin, San Antonio, Central Florida, and Southwest Florida, where a single-family home new build costs like $230K. It rents for $1,800. So when somebody put 25% down payment by investors, they will achieve around $350 monthly net cash flow with 25% down payment. So tell me a scenario where in Las Vegas that you've been dealing with, where somebody can pay 25, 30, 35% down payment to buy an investment property in Las Vegas, and they can still cash flow, albeit maybe a little bit per month.
Good question. And that's exactly what I just described. The 2 properties that I just bought recently were that case. One of them actually is going to be about a $500 positive cash flow. It's a 2,700 square foot house, rents for $2,200 a month. The old renter was at $1,300 or $1,400.
What's the sales price? What was the sales price?
$280 on that one. And again, I put 20% down. The other one I bought was $257, valued at about $300. So again, I get good discounts because a lot of times, remember, as a broker, if I'm buying it directly, I don't have to worry about paying commissions to the seller. I can discount it at least 20 or 30,000 just on commissions alone. And then if the property's in bad shape, I can discount another 20 or 30,000. So in that case, the 2 properties I just bought had a combined, one of them had 50 in equity, the other had about 80 in equity. So that's a nice equity, but those are both 20% down, and they're both going to be somewhere between $300 to $500 a month in positive cash flow. So you can still get that in Vegas. I agree. Back in 2004, 5, 6, 7, when the market was on fire, it was great. Then when it went down, 2008, 9, and 10, it dropped. When you hit 10, 11, 12, when it was still at the bottom of the market, we were selling to nothing but investors, and they were getting about 10% rates of return, 10% cap rates, very, very strong. But then as the market continued to trend upward, the rates of return went down. They weren't that good. Now they're actually fairly strong if you're putting 20% down and if you're getting top rent. Rents have gone way up. So you're getting that. And the interest rates are so low. We got it. The last two I got were investor loans at 3.5% interest. If you can get an investor loan with 3.5% interest, you're talking about a very, very low payment, which means you can actually cash flow. So it's a good market for that. And some of those other markets you mentioned are very strong also, but Vegas is now good if you can get a property.
By the way, Glenn, did I hear correctly? Or are you selling off market or your own personal inventory, or your property you're selling or is in the MLS, multiple listing service?
No, most of the properties I'm selling are either from investors that invest with us. They're in my property management and they've decided to sell. So that's one way. If an investor comes out of the blue, if I don't have any property for them, we have to just turn to the MLS. We do have a couple of young guys working with me that are door knockers. So they go door to door knocking, looking for properties. Most everybody sends out the letters and they're calling people, looking at the notice of default list, the notice of trustee sales, but they're kind of slight on those. There's not a lot of notice of default, notice of trustee sales because the foreclosure moratorium and the eviction moratorium that is about to expire. So because of that, we have to look at other methods. Well, one of the methods I've found best is because I do control a lot of properties. We now have properties. One of my investors from Northern California wants to sell 4 of his properties. So what I do is I analyze those, and then when he's ready to go and he says, yes, I want to sell, and we give notice to the tenant, we first turn to the tenant to see if they want to buy by chance. And sometimes they do. Usually they're not qualified. But if they don't, I usually turn to my investor database next and say, hey, I've got a potential for you here. We've got a renter already in place. You don't have to do anything. If you want it, it's yours. If not, we have to get the tenant out, and then we fix the house up, list it for sale, and then it's open for anybody meaning owner occupied or investor.
Yeah, well, Glenn, actually, I'm surprised to hear, I'm very pleasantly surprised to hear about the cash flow possibilities. My misconception, it's been a while since you and I spoke. So I'm glad we connected because I could just see the light bulb in my head. Hey, if you could sell a investment property in Las Vegas for like even 300K, if it rents for 2,300, I know the numbers. You and I know the numbers. The cap rate works. Like 5% cap rate, and then at 25% down payment with 3.5% interest rate on an investment loan, it's gonna cash flow. You can cash flow $300, whatever. It makes sense.
Right. Well, if you look at the old 1% rule, so in other words, if it's 280, you'd want to get 2,800 for it. So, but because we're buying it for 280 and we're actually owing 220 because I'm putting 60 grand down and I'm getting 2,200, that's 1%. So that qualifies. And that's really what you're looking at. If you can get a 1% of what your mortgage is, you're in pretty good shape. And the market obviously is still on fire. It's still appreciating. We can talk also about what's my outlook on where it's going to go. How high is it going to go? How long will it keep going up? Will it stop? Will it crash? Will we get what we got before? I think we've got at least a year, maybe more of upside because the interest rates are so low and they're talking about not increasing them over for the next year or two. So I still think because inventory is low, you've got a lot of folks selling from California. They want to get out of their position and come here. Prices are still very, very low comparatively from California. Yep. So people are moving. The Zoom thing and the COVID thing was really good for a lot of things. People now, I'm getting calls from Californians that now can work from their home. So they're moving to Vegas because they can work from Vegas and still do their job that they had in Northern California, sell their house there that's worth 1.7 million, come over here, buy a house cash for 500-600 grand, have some money in the bank and still do what they want to do and still do a lot of commuting. And that's been good. I've had a lot of Northern Californians and Southern Californians come over for that too.
Yeah, that's good. I'm not surprised. Yeah, Las Vegas market is so hot. You have not only your market, not only people want to buy to as a principal home who physically lives in Las Vegas. You have vacation home, second home buyers that are coming from NorCal and SoCal that have boatloads of money they can buy with 40% down or all cash and keep it as a vacation home. Then you have what? As a matter of fact, now that we spoke, I'm going to begin to market my database to buy investment property in your market because it's cash flow, because the rent. I'm surprised. Well, I'll be honest with you. I was not aware that a 300K single family home in the Las Vegas market are renting for 2,300. That rental rate really surprised me in a good way. So
Yep.
how come the rent had jumped up so high?
I think it's supply and demand. You know, there's not that many rentals. Even though, yes, we still have high unemployment, it's way down what it was. It's under 10%, which is good. It was 14 at the peak way back in 2008, 9 when we had the problem. And then it went up to 33% a year ago when COVID hit. And of course, then it just creeped down from there. So now we're down below 10% again. 80%, I just saw in the paper this morning that 80% occupancy is now allowed June 1st, May 1st. So in another week, we go to 80%. Vegas is back, you know, like it always rebounds, it always does. So we're going to be fine. I wanted to bring up a couple of things. You mentioned earlier commercial, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but I do want to mention two of my Northern California buyers just bought, one bought a six-plex and one bought a five-plex just recently. And all in around Las Vegas Boulevard. I bought a five-plex and a six-plex myself within the last year, right on St. Louis, which is right by Las Vegas Boulevard. Tesla's coming in, or our friend Elon Musk is coming in, putting something called the Vegas Loop, which is going to go right underneath Las Vegas Boulevard. So everybody there can walk to Las Vegas Boulevard, go up and down there. That segment, Naked City, Beverly Green, Las Vegas Boulevard, is on fire. We're seeing a lot going on right now. So folks are interested also in multifamily. And I say multifamily, usually the smaller stuff, under 30 or 40 units. There's a lot of that still in that area. And we represent a lot of buyers, obviously, that are buying those things. So your commercial buyers that want to buy.
Or the commercial buildings, those multi-units, six units, 7 units you just talked about.
Oh, what about them? I'm sorry.
Are they commercial building or they apartment units?
Well, no, they're apartment buildings. So they're small apartment buildings. One of the ones I just bought actually was a commercial building, and we're converting it to 5 studio units because it was a vacant, obsolete commercial building doing nothing. So we had to go through planning, zoning, all that good stuff.
So are you asking one investor to buy this building, or you are asking several investors to partner to put their money?
Well, I'm always open to partnerships. The 2 that I bought with a minority partner. I'm actually the majority partner on those 2 that I bought. The other 2 that I sold, one was bought by one investor and one was bought by 2 investors that partnered. But folks that are buying multifamily in Vegas, you know, it's here. There's people that want to move their properties and sell, and I think you're going to see very, very good appreciation with the increase in rents. So I think.
What are the cap rates? What are they on those multi-units?
Cap rates are probably 7-8% right now.
Really?
Yeah, in the commercial realm, and it's going to go up again because of the fact that you're going to see more raise in rents. Most of these folks that have owned these older commercials, most of the commercial buildings I'm talking about in this area were built in the 50s and early 60s. So these are 50, 60 years old in some cases. And with that being said, these properties in a lot of cases need a lot of work. But somebody comes in and buys it and takes it 1 unit at a time, renovates it, puts a higher class renter in, and does the same thing for all 5, 6, 7 units. They're going to increase the rent dramatically and increase the price dramatically. And
one more thing. What off the subject just a little bit. I read. I watched the video recently where there's a high-speed rail coming from LA. Into Las Vegas through Victorville, whatever. That's coming to fruition. People can catch the rail. We take them like 1 hour to get from Las Vegas to LA to Las Vegas, back and forth. Is that?
Yeah, I just read it. I think it's called Brightline. I just read about that a few days ago, and they're talking about it's back on track. It was off track because of COVID. They're back on track. So yeah, that's going to be huge. I think once people realize that they can go back and forth, that's really going to help Vegas more because we're still so undervalued compared to California. And so if you can sell there and come over here and buy, and still you have all the entertainment here, but the ability to get back to California if you need to for work or for pleasure, it's going to be huge. So this has always been a world-class undervalued market. Not too many cities you can say are world-class but undervalued. If you look at the prices in San Francisco and San Jose, they're still double or triple than what you're finding in Las Vegas.
Wow. Okay, so you do not have that many inventories. So when an investor, even my investors coming to you soon, so you pretty much put them on a wait list, right? So you work with them, understand their goals and objectives, and then you will work the market. Eventually, they will get the deal. It's just there are more investors that you have available inventory to sell. Is it?
Well, so if an investor comes to us and they're ready to move, we move aggressively with them. We work with them very, very aggressively. I've got about 10 investors I'm working with right now, but the ones that get the deal that end up buying are the ones that are aggressive. They're responsive. If we send them something, or if we, in a lot of cases, we write blank offers. We take the information from the investor and we get it all on an offer, and we submit offers based on their criteria. So we might submit their offer 10 different properties. That's the only way you can do it sometimes to get something accepted. If you get it accepted, or if you get 2 or 3 accepted, then you look at them and you decide which one you want. And then we go back and go to work on that one property. But we don't have a wait list of people waiting to get properties. If you come to me and you want to buy a property, we're going to work really aggressively. We're not a big organization. We've only got about 6 or 7 people. I've only got about 15 agents, but I've got my core people that I work with, my son, Vince, my son, Tony, David, that works with me, that you met last year when we came up for the seminar. It was about a year ago, right at the beginning of COVID, when we were up in San Jose with you. So we work aggressively. We've got a property management division that manages the properties. So yeah, if somebody's ready to go, give us a call. We can put them to work.
Well, Glenn, you got me excited because off and on for the past 15 years, we work together. I always value your expertise, your knowledge. You are one of the most successful brokers in Las Vegas. You and I know that most realtors, they have not been around that long. Most realtors anywhere, not just in Las Vegas, they are part-time realtors, or they don't know how to work with investors. They just work the local market for principal home buyers. That's it. So you have been doing investment in Las Vegas for so many years, right? And you always get referrals. So you provide a value add in Las Vegas market, which is second to none. So
no, I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. I mean, from HOA foreclosures to short sales to bank-owned REO properties to investors to property management to owner-occupied properties to trustee sales, notice of default, notice of trustee sales, all of those things. You're right. I'm well-rounded, and that makes a difference because when I see something, I do what's best for the property or what's best for the person. I let the property tell me what to do versus, I just list properties to sell. I just work with sellers. I just work with buyers. That's what most realtors are all about. And I've done so many of those things. I own about 40 properties myself. So I'm a fairly big investor. I'm selling all the time. I'm buying all the time. I'm flipping all the time. I have about 4 flips going on right now that I'm doing. So yeah, I stay very active in this market and other markets, as I've not only been nationally, but I've also invested internationally too.
Yeah, on another podcast, we'll talk about, commercial flips and all those kind of things. I want to keep our podcast limited to a mere 20 minutes or less. So much to talk about. So I know you are super busy, but in a good way because, recently you sold your restaurant. That the restaurant have took up so much of your time. Now,
yes, it did.
Yeah, now you can work smart, not work hard.
No, exactly right. In fact, I'm about to leave when I'm done with you today here. I usually come in Sundays for just 2-3 hours just to catch up if I get emails or whatnot. But I've had more time on my hands. The restaurant definitely took a lot of my time up, and I'm fully focused on real estate now from here until retirement, whenever that might be. But hopefully it'll be sooner than later if I keep acquiring properties the way I'm doing them.
Well, good for you, Glenn. I tell you, you are. I really admire you. So I know our topic's supposed to be foreclosure. Never mind. I'm glad we went off on tangents because I'm getting excited just by talking to you. So I will send you more investors. I will market your market once again because you produce high cash flow properties. Not only that, you are one additional skill set that you have that many of my business partners, network partners does not have. You are very analytical. You can break down the pro forma. You can break down the numbers. You could explain those numerical cash flow analysis, the pro forma, to even the novice, the beginner investors out there. So So you speak the investor's language, you know what they want, you know they want cash flow properties in a good market, high appreciation potential. So for that reason, that's the reason why, I like working with you.
Very good. No, you're right. Way back when, I used to put a P&L on every property that I would send out to the person and say, this is what it's going to rent for. These are your projected costs. And so you'll know before you buy it, you know that you're going to have a cash flow. And that's important to note, where most people, they're just selling based on price or based on whatever. But in my case, investors want more than that. They want to know what their rate of return is going in. And since I own so many properties, I like to analyze it that way too.
Absolutely. Okay, so before I let you go, I know I'm going to I'm going to put your contact information on my video anyway, but verbally, can you share the audience, can you share with the audience verbally right now, your name, your phone number, your email address, and maybe even your website? Can you do that right now?
Sure. Yeah, I don't do, we've got a website for the property management, but I typically would rather talk to somebody. So Glenn with 2 N's, Plantone, Plantone. And then my email is simple. It's G as in Glenn, S as in Sam. Then my last name, Plantone, Plantone @gmail.com. And my phone number here at the office is 702-656-3264, extension 203. So yeah, reach me anytime. If you miss me, leave a message. I'll get right back to you.
Sounds good. I know you're very busy. I would love to do more podcasts with you because you are a man of so much knowledge in this hot real estate market, very unique real estate market. You have so much perspective. So I would love to just let me know the date and time you want to do another podcast. We can do another one. So I really value your time, value your perspective. Thank you so much, Glenn Plantone. I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're going to do some business. Thank you so much.
Thanks, SeeWing. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.